What's up, y'all? So the camera decided it wanted to start without me pushing start. Um, but yeah, I don't think I deleted the last blooper. But so I just wanted to have a real conversation. First of all, this conversation is for self. Hey, Corday, what's up? How are you? 39 years old. This is like our fifth time going into rehab. Um, I want to talk about a few things, but the main thing is the realization and coming to terms and coming to grip with my truth. And my truth is I'm 39 in rehab. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to be 39 in rehab. I didn't expect to be, I guess, hooked on drugs or a particular drug. Um, and it's been difficult. It's been difficult. And I didn't I didn't see it coming. I should have saw it coming. In terms of I got a phone call, said, hey, wanna try some meth? Said, hey, okay. Why the fuck not? Shit, I did everything else. Why the fuck not? I mean, not everything else, but enough shit. I did enough shit in life. Um, but we were talking about. I had asked the other day on group. We were talking about like cognitive distortions and what they were in detail, and then which probed me to go back, like took me back to my college years, and I went into thinking about defense mechanisms. And I remember learning about them, and it brought me to wondering how did these defense mechanisms play into healing for one, and then into my recovery, and then how did if I'm really going to be healing and then helping others heal, how can I first help others? How can I help others heal if I don't heal first? And then what does healing look like for me and in my reality, and being brutally honest with myself about the type of person I am and the type of person I have been, and how drug use has allowed how drug use or how I have allowed drug use to affect myself in relationships, right? Because we was going over values, integrity, and the type of person we are or people we've been because of drug use and addiction and different things like that. We were just going over everything. And the teachers and instructors, she's really good at what she does. And it just caused me to really, really self-reflect. And it was like, damn. And I was pulling some cards the other day, right? Because I always struggle with my purpose because I'm going to get into it a little bit later in terms of how I deliver my story. But the drugs, a lot of people use drugs in order to numb their feelings and numb what they're going through. I had used them at the time to feel my feelings and feel what I was going through. So for me, it was like I didn't have that anyone to relate to in terms of what I was going through and their relatability in terms of like who can I talk to about different things. So I really had to rely on myself. I really had to rely on what I knew, and I really had to rely on my higher power, the God, my understanding, the God I believed in terms of to come to grips with, what this all meant and how my purpose played or how drugs played a role in me becoming myself and be me in terms of figuring out what my purpose was in life. So for me, it was like it hit home and it's like, well, what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of person have you been? And I haven't been the best father, the best friend, the best brother, the best anyone. I couldn't show it, the best cousin, the best relative. I couldn't really show up and be my best because of the use of these drugs. Even though they were still the same thing that helped me feel like I could be my true self. I could be the self. You know how they say a sober mind? No. A drunk mind speaks a sober tongue? Now, I never necessarily believed that statement until I realized that the drugs allowed me to have certain conversations, right? When I say certain conversations, I mean I was able to talk about my sexuality to my mom or to my sisters with while being under the influence. Then it also caused me to go a little too far and cross some boundaries I shouldn't have crossed, which got me to reflect and it's like, well, damn, and it also caused, strain in certain relationships then I also, and then I'm just looking at like, damn, like what kind of person did you become? And it's got me to thinking like, damn, like when did you fall off this bed? You ain't never, like life ain't, you ain't never been this kind of person. So it's like, you fucked up. Players fuck up. So how do you right these wrongs, and how do you make sure you never repeat these mistakes again? And it's really about you can't do anything with the past, but what you can do is fight like hell to change the future, or to change in order to have a better future, right? So this is really me coming to grips with self, like, whoa, this is wild. You are really in a rehab. And I don't think I took time to like process that, because I've been in a state of wanting to own all of who I was, because I didn't necessarily feel like I could be myself for so long. I do know that the fastest way to, what is it, be settled with anything or discomfort is through it, right? I was in the Marine Corps, so boot camp. I remember we had to carry our guns like this, right? Which was a very uncomfortable feeling for me. So the fastest way for me to get my arm to get used to that shit is just do it and don't think about it, right? So I got kind of used to operating in that state, just like doing shit and not really sitting with those feelings, or sitting and thinking about the consequences, repercussions of my actions. And it's like, okay, now I believe in accepting and owning all of who you are. And that's the only way to truly heal, is to sit with your mistakes, make amends, if and when appropriate. And it's come to me for some time now today that I had to do this video. And the video is, it's one of those things that's part of my purpose, right? It's not an apology in the sense of, no, I believe you gotta make amends and you gotta one change. But it's one of them things where it's like I don't know what you call it. It's equivalent to like writing that shit down and getting that shit off you. I gotta get this shit out of me, because if you don't, it's an energetic release. If you don't release that shit and I don't talk about it, it's going to continue to fester, and I'm going to continue to repeat the same mistakes. So that's what this is. This is like more of an energetic release, like. And I didn't want to do it for so long because I'm like partially embarrassed, and I don't get embarrassed easily anymore. It's hard to be embarrassed. It's hard for me to be embarrassed because again, I want to accept me with all my flaws, accept me wholeheartedly, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, and everything that comes with that. It just comes with life. I want to be able to accept me and all of me, but I got to be able to accept embarrassment too. Yeah, it's just wow. Like, damn, this is where I'm at in life. Like, who would have thought someone with so much potential, someone with so much promise, someone with so much, so many gifts, so many blessings would be here. I just really didn't think that. I really, really didn't think that I would be here. But I do know that I don't want to stay here. I can't stay here. I can't stay in this state. I can't stay repeating the same cycles. I can't stay not learning these lessons. I can't do it. It is killing me slowly. It really, really is. It really is. And there's so much that I go through that I don't express that I go through. There's so many battles that I had to experience, and I didn't, I guess, feel like I had anyone to go to talk about it. And when you don't release that energy, it definitely shows up in unhealthy ways in your life. Because the energy, listen, the energy is not going to be destroyed. Energy is only transferable. And it's going to seep out into your life in unhealthy ways. And it's going to continue to seep and continue to seep and continue to seep and pour out into your life in unhealthy ways in each relationship and in everything that you do until you learn to face it and deal with it and heal. And for me, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about trying to face things, learn things, and how to heal from them. Because that cycle of, no, that shit ends with me. That cycle of, just family trauma and bad decision making and being afraid to just confront self, and really confront self and say, hey, self, you fucked up. Hey, self, what you did was fucked up. Hey, self, you need to self-correct. You need to do some shit different. Yeah, that shit stops here. That shit stops today. That shit really, really does. And there's other battles. So I've been also diagnosed with ADD and allegedly bipolar and schizoaffective disorder and all of these things. Now, with some of the things, there are a lot of diagnosis of things, especially when I see people that I question the validity of these things, right? I always wonder, are these things really diagnoses, or is it unhealed, unprocessed trauma and energy that's trying to escape and it's expressing itself and showing up in people's lives in unhealthy ways, and they don't have the coping skills to deal with them, and their body has no longer the capacity to store that energy, right? The only thing I will say I noticed a difference for me is with the ADD meds when I was on Ritalin. And it is so hard for me to get them again, especially since my drug of choice was uppers. And it's like the street form of what I was using is basically the same thing that the doctors would treat ADD with, in terms of the prescribed form. So it's like some legalities you gotta jump through, some other hoops, and I'm like, listen, that shit is breaking me to my core. Now, in terms of bipolar disorder, I don't know, was it bipolar or did I go into one of the many defense mechanisms, and as a response, my body, my child always started reacting to, and was conditioned to react to certain stimuli in a certain way because of how I had experienced trauma as a child. So, however, that medicine that they prescribed me Abilify for bipolar disorder, that did work. I was unbothered. Once that shit was in my system, you talk about, what's that shit called? What is it when you get in traffic? I cannot think. Road rage. I was unbothered. You gave me the finger? Unbothered. You cut me off? I'm unbothered. You did what? I'm unbothered. So that medication did work, and the ADD medication did work. In terms of my ability to focus, and my ability to stay on task. But it really is a mindful thing. You had to be mindful, and you had the want to do better, and the want to be better is, I feel like that's the foundation for the will to execute, in terms of how that shows up in your life. So meaning that you gotta want better. They say if you knew better, you do better. No, if you want better, you do better, right? And I want better. So this is not me making promises, not me, saying I declare a decree to myself. This is just me, part of the commitment I made to myself to do better. See, commitment is a process, and that process has stages, and in each stage it looks different. I've been committed to a certain dream and lifestyle, and when I say lifestyle, I mean a healthy, healed lifestyle. Where I have healthy relationships with family and friends, and a healthy relationship with myself and with my higher power. Yeah, it is extremely important for me to do that. Like, anyone knows me knows I would probably talked about the glitz and the glam and the money and what I would do and how much I would spend, this, that, to the third. But for me, it was always, what was the point? What people may not have known about me is, what's the point of having all that money if you can't share it with your family and friends? And what was the point of having all that money if you weren't healed? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point and purpose? Like, for me, at least for me, I need to be healed first. I want to be healed and I want to be whole. Which I had to realize that I am whole just as I am. Healed, well, hey, words have power. We speak things to existence. Life is a process. So this here is a message for one, for self. So maybe I look back on it one day and realize, hey, you came far. You might not be where you want to be, but keep pushing, keep going, keep striving for for better. Keep going. And for anyone else out there who's struggling, who maybe I went to high school with, because baby, if you would have told me in high school this is where I would be at when I was writing my paper in 12th grade. So be careful what you write now. And I said there's going to be some struggle along the way. I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. All the materialistic shit I was talking about, I said I'm going to struggle on the way. Damn it, Boastman. This was not part of my struggle. I didn't realize this was going to be the struggle along the way. You feel me? One of my homies just texted me, but it's like, I don't know. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, but maybe 20 minutes. We got 14 minutes. You know what? We're going to run with this. We're going to be in flow. But normally, I jam out, we vibe, we keep it good vibes, but I just had to have a real conversation with myself, and it definitely almost brought tears in my eyes. But if you check out the YouTube channel or check out one of the videos down there, because this is only going to end up on their channel as well, you'll see that I was crying. And crying because I realized that I was doing that healing work. I was looking in the mirror, and that was another stage that I was doing that healing work. Now today I didn't necessarily look in the mirror to do the mirror work, but I definitely did self-reflect, and I felt it in my heart when she was talking. It was like, it's just the defense mechanisms were going over, and they were going over different things. I would definitely say YouTube some, the defense mechanisms, and find a little 6-minute video, if you will, whatever holds your attention span, and really try to see if they resonate with you. Maybe I'll create a video going into detail about them a little bit later. But they really hit home, and it was like, damn, it was an eye opener. Like, okay, if you really want to do this thing, you really want to heal, you really want to, be of help and be of service, and you know what your calling and your purpose is. But bro, this is part of my mirror work. You gotta look yourself in that camera. You gotta have that conversation with yourself, and you have to post it. That's what you gotta do. You felt it. The vision came to you. Like, if I delayed it any longer, well, then that energy is gonna stay trapped in my body, and I'm gonna continue to repeat this cycle. So I can't do this cycle anymore. I have got to find some stability in a life. I have to find some stability mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on a soul level. I gotta find some. I've got to heal. I've got to heal. But if you watch this video thus far, I wish you nothing but blessings and love in life. I would love you to life. I do card readings. I am a certified Reiki practitioner. Tap in with me. If you're interested in learning more about those, I might post some videos and provide more information on those and what Reiki is. It's an energy healing process, a Japanese energy healing tradition that I learned, that I'm certified in, that I do, and it's tremendously helped me in life. I do it almost every day for myself. But it's definitely something that will be beneficial along your healing journey if you're trying to heal, especially to those of us who are in recovery. If you like what I had to say, like, comment, share, and subscribe. and get at me. Peace, love, light, and blessings. I share. Love you to life. Mwah.